Welcome, welcome, welcome. We thank you for joining True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn. I am ecstatic to be presenting this today live. And if you're listening on any of our podcast platforms, you'll be getting a playback, but you're more than welcome to come over and click on the YouTube channel, True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn. There are 3 channels. Just click on True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn and subscribe with us there. Click on the little bell. You get a notification every time. And also, if you're a person who recognizes, like my mother did, that I have a face for radio, just click on subscribe on the podcast, and that'll make it work really, really well for you. And we really appreciate the audio-only podcast. Today, we're going to do something controversial, but it's okay. I do controversial things sometimes. Are we on the Titanic America? Are we the Titanic America? So I'm going to do that one now live. And then tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a podcast will become available that is entitled The Dangers of Marxism and Communism. The Dangers of Marxism and Communism, a call to reject its influence. So look, I'm excited about it. I'm eager for you to hear it, and it needs to be heard. So listen, folks, whether you like former President Trump or not, the 45th president of the United States, I understand. I am totally in complete understanding of you not liking him. I get it. 100% get it. It's one of those things that he is a guy that many would describe as polarizing. The fact is, he's 2 different people. He's his media persona, and he is the real guy, and the real guy is an amazing person. Very kind, very generous, and you're going to be shocked to hear this, very humble. That said, his business and his personal, public persona is a different deal. So you wouldn't know that if you didn't know him, or you didn't have exposure to him in many of the different ways. Look, he's not running for pastor. So we know that right off the top. He's not running for pastor. He's running for president. And that's a gritty, tough job, especially in this environment. It's a bad, bad deal all the way around. So all that said to say this, whether you like him or not, we have to be honest. He really took the bait a few weeks ago. He did not have a good debate. He got mad. I don't blame him, but he got mad, and he just didn't have a good debate on ABC a few weeks ago. Bad moderators or refs or not. Look, at a certain point, you got to stop complaining about the moderators and the refs. Can't complain about the refs. You got to take it out of their hands, right? So that's what you have to do. That's just the reality of it. And, but I get it. Look, this guy has been so maligned for years, unfairly maligned for years, withering opposition. I don't know how he stood it. I really don't. I don't know how the man has stood the withering opposition that he has had to deal with for all these years. And, I don't know that many of us could stand up to that. And the fact of the matter is, it's cost him hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to deal with this, the lawfare and all the other things. We're going to talk about all those things. Look, I'm confident Mr. Trump isn't looking for my advice. I'm not so deluded to think that, he's going to be listening to this podcast. Now, I am great friends with several people very, very close to him. One of which is with him 18 hours a day. And, he's not looking for my advice. So I know that. I'm not so petulant to think that, so deluded to think that. But President Trump needs to stop whining about bad refs. Look, we knew before the event was scheduled that they were going to be highly biased. Why? Because they are highly biased. They hate his guts. They've made it clear. I don't think anybody really is falling for this whole pretend, the charade, if you will. I don't think anybody's falling for it. Are you? I mean, do you really think somebody, well, I shouldn't answer for you. Maybe you're a person who says, I don't know, they don't seem very biased to me. Maybe you're that person. Maybe I'm mistaken. But I think to most people, obviously, clearly a highly biased group. But President Trump, if I were to advise him, which again, not seeking my advice, you went into the game knowing you're the away team, right? You're the away team. And it's too far away for all of your fans to come and line the bleachers. It's just the way it is. So you went in there alone, and I respect you for that, especially given the fact that your opponent at the lectern just across from you is trying to get you killed. Man, I call that what it is. Come on, that's not hyperbole. That's reality. And many of us, if we just accept the facts as they are, it would be better for us to accept the facts as they are. Listen, we've got to acknowledge what things are, not what we wish they were. But Mr. President, with all due respect, God bless you. You lost your composure. You forgot who your audience was and is, and here's a hint, it wasn't and isn't your base. It's not the folks that wear the red hats with Make America Great Again. It's not the people that wear the outfits that come to your incredible events. They're just incredible events. The other day, I happen to know that 88,000 people applied for tickets for an event that, you know, 1/8 of that, I think, or, 1/5 of that, there were seats. I mean, it's unbelievable. 88,000. And by the time the event occurred, there was over 150,000 people who applied for tickets. That's reality, but that's your base. That's your base. And we're going to vote for you. We're going to vote for you because we realize you're not running for pastor, and we realize, yeah, but maybe this occurs to some of you. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't it seem strange? They're always, look, first things they tried to do is say he was a Russian plant. They tried to say he was Putin's buddy. Totally untrue. Putin's terrified of him. They tried to say all these horrific things about him, just terrible, terrible things. When that didn't work, they came after him. They came after him and said, "Oh, you're not rich. You're pretend. You're pretend rich. You're not actually rich." And he said, "Look, my wealth has nothing to do with being a president of these United States. Nothing whatsoever. There's nothing in my financial report that in any way is germane to me being president. Period." Well, they kept saying, well, he's not as rich as he says he is. He's a lot poorer than he says he is. Yada, 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 right? All of these things, they said all these things, didn't they? Did you hear them? Maybe you were one of the people that heard that, right? All along. And maybe you started to doubt it. Maybe you said, hey, you know what? There might be truth to this. I don't know if there is, but maybe there is. I don't know. And then suddenly you didn't hear any more about it. Hey, if you're listening and you're in chat, I know that if you're listening on audiobook playback, you can't see chat, but if you could just let me know whether or not this is loud enough, clear enough, if there's any problem with the sound, I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you very much. So look, you suddenly didn't hear anything more about his finances. Why? Because finally he released them. Did you know that? He released them. Yeah, he released them. That's a shock to a lot of you. He won most of the court battles as it relates to that. And then he released them. And then silence. Crickets. The sound of the little green frogs on the window. The tree frogs that make all that sound. That's all you could hear. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I have two great sound engineers today working remotely at the True Word Faith for Life podcast. So, again, I really appreciate that. I have no way of knowing. I know there's probably some meter or something somewhere that can tell me, but tech, I am not. Anyway, so you didn't hear anything more about it. And you just I guess maybe you thought it faded away. But it didn't fade away. It didn't fade away. He was wealthier than he even said. He was on the conservative side of his estimation of wealth. And when you're a billionaire, that wealth goes up and down based on stock price. It goes there's a million factors to consider, right? So it's important. It's really, really important for us to acknowledge that, hey, the dude was wealthier than he said he was, and certainly far wealthier and far more successful than the left and the Never Trumpers accused him of being. So you didn't hear anything about that, right? But look, your base, Mr. President, you got us. We're going to go in and we're going to tick the box. Now, I would suggest that you also work on the gun owners, the legal gun owners, but specifically the registered and licensed hunters, the gun owners and registered licensed gun owners in the United States of America. Why? Because an enormous number of gun owners, concealed carry permit holders, and licensed hunters in the United States of America do not vote. Why? I don't know. You got me. Why don't you vote? If you're that person, I'm a hunter, I'm a shooter, I'm a archer, all of those things. You know, obviously I carry firearms. I'm all those things. And I'm registered to vote. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. Usually they're not very political people. The hunters and all that, they're not political. They just want to be left alone. They're independent people, you know, rugged individualists, that type of thing. Self-sufficient. They say, I don't need the government. You know, I can hunt for my own food. Folks, let me tell you, if you fall into that category, you're a gun owner, you're a concealed carry permit holder, you're a hunter. Oh, absolutely, you need to get registered to vote and vote. Because if you do that, that'd be the difference. You're the difference. So the other part of Mr. President, if you're listening, he's not. It isn't your base. It isn't it's not the gun carry, none of those people. Well, yeah. Talk to them, because a lot of them aren't registered to vote. And if they vote, we're going to do much better. It's the undecided independents, and it's the reasonable blue dog Democrats, if there are any left, which I think there are. And sadly, some very weak-minded Republicans, never Trumpers. If you come at this with some decorum, if you present yourself, he's appearing in the state where I live, North Carolina, this weekend, and it's going to be an enormous rally, enormous rally. People are already camped out. It's supposed to be one of his biggest rallies. And there's all this stuff going on with Mark Robinson. You know, he wasn't my guy. I know, Mr. Bible and all that stuff. You'd think I'd vote for him, but I didn't feel good about him. Not from the beginning, not from the start. I said, man, there's a lot of stuff about this guy. I don't get a good feeling. Look, and I don't know how that all is going to go. You know, politics of personal destruction are a real thing. I experienced it when I've protected very high profile political candidates and politicians over the years. And, you know, I'm right there exposed to it. I have to investigate all of it. I have to protect against some element of it that would cause personal harm, physical harm. And the fact of the matter of it is, politics of personal destruction is real, and the left is way better at it than we are. Why? Because that's not how we think. Look, we want to stick on the policies. We want to stick on what are you going to do for America, right? How is you getting elected going to affect me? Truth is truth, folks. I call that what you want to do. That's truth. That's truth. And I know there are never Trumpers out there who I could talk to them blue in the face. You guys know who used to listen to God and Country, The Collision of Faith and Politics. That was a radio show I had several years ago. And those of you who listened to that know that I was not for Trump initially. In 2016, you know, for that whole deal, I came out and said, look, you know, the guy's great at what he does, clearly. He's very successful at what he does. We could sure use a businessman, but my guy is Ted Cruz. I think overall, Ted Cruz possessed all the qualities that he needed to really, really bless this country. but on both sides of the aisle. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think he would have done a great job. But even Ted Cruz said, in retrospect, he wasn't the man for the job, that Donald Trump was the man for the job. So that comes down to this. Trump's demeanor, the way he comports himself, it's just one of those things. It's Trump is Trump, right? Yes, I happen to be privy to the lovely things that he does and he says, the amazing help he provides, life-saving help that he provides to people, the things that he does behind the scenes, never asks for accolade, never asks for attention. He does these things and moves on, goes on with life. And someone, he says, look, I'm going to follow up with you. I want to help you and I'm going to follow up with you. He does. I know this for a fact. I know this without a doubt. I know that he has a much more tender heart than he appears to have. That's shocking for a lot of people. But look, he's dealing with world leaders like Putin and Xi Jinping and Kim Il-sung and, all of the others who hate us. You say, well, they hate us because of our leaders. No, they don't. They hate us. The ones that hate us because we are freedom and we are liberty and we are God-believing people, God-fearing people. They hate that about us. They hate it. And the fact of the matter of it is, they're always going to hate us. It doesn't matter who's in the office. But what does matter who's in the office is, do they fear them? Female, male, I don't care. Female, male, doesn't matter to me. I don't care if it's a female president. I don't care. Look, I know some women right now who, I was tightening my ponytail. Just kidding. I don't have a ponytail. Those of you listening on the audio only podcast, you're going to be glad right now that you only have audio. I don't actually have a ponytail. This thing loosens up. It goes behind my back. It's these things. And for those of you who are audio only, I'm pointing to the in-ear monitors so that I can hear myself because I'm hearing impaired. Anyway, look, the truth is the truth. We can deal with things as they are. I know women right now who I would vote for today for president. Absolutely. Absolutely. You think Trump is tough. Whew. You think Trump is smart, and he is. He's a brilliant man. You can't take that from him. You can't take the fact that he's an extremely high IQ guy. Pretty unbelievable, this guy. Anyway, so Mr. Trump, if you were to listen, he's not, can you trust yourself to keep your composure in another debate? The question is, should he do another debate? I think it's pretty much been solved. This question has been answered in that no. He's not going to do another debate. But if that were to come up, hey, can you trust yourself not to fall into the same traps you laid for you this time? Can you trust yourself to talk to that audience I just talked to you about? Right? The people you don't have their vote. You don't have their vote. And there is a group of people that they'd love to vote for you, but they say, I just can't bring myself to vote for Trump. Because one, they believe the rhetoric about you, and that's unfair. It's highly unfair because it's not true. 99% of it is completely untrue. But that little bit of percent where you don't comport yourself as a guy who we can look at as a world leader, as a statesman. Granted, you're not a statesman. I get that. But just a little more decorum. Less personal ad hominem attacks and go direct to the policies. Expose the lies, call them lies. I love that about you. But can you trust yourself to talk to your actual audience? Remember what I said. It's those hunters. It's the gun owners. It's the concealed carry permit owners. It's the people on the fence. It's the independents that want to vote for you. It's the RFK Jr. voters that want to vote for you, but boy, they got some misgivings. None of it on policy. Look, you have my vote and you aren't trying to convince me I get it. You're trying to convince the person who is on the fence as to who they should vote for. And I get it. This is who you are. But there are many Americans who would vote for you if you could look like a president they can imagine will save America with real strategies. I know your strategies. I know your policies. I study them. They're amazing. They'll save America. Amazing. But you know what? You don't get elected when you have great strategies. It's much the same as a business. If you have a great product, I've said this for years. If you have a great, let's use my radio show, God and Country: The Collision of Faith and Politics. We had 5.7 total listeners, 5.7 million total listeners to that show. I did that show for several years, never made a dime. I spent money on that show. I don't know how to monetize. I didn't know anything about monetization. The fact of the matter is, I didn't run it like a business, and I didn't make a dime. Business, you can have a great product. You can have a restaurant that has the best food any human being has ever put into their mouth at any time in their life. That's reality. But if you can't get your message out, if your restaurant looks nasty on the outside, nobody's coming in. They're not coming in. Doesn't matter how good your food is. President, doesn't matter how good your policies are. You will get elected when you appear electable. Now, here's the thing. Someone sent me this list. You guys, I'm sure, have seen it rummaging around social media. And someone sent this to me directly. Thank you, Miss Danielle from Seahag. Good luck with the big redfish tournament down there in Seahag Marina in Steenhatchee, Florida. $10,000 tournament. I think $14,000 all total. So whoever catches the biggest redfish, they win the big money. So Seahag Marina, it's an awesome place. It's nothing like you've ever seen before. Anyway, so Miss Danielle sent me this list of things, and I have massively edited it since then, but that was kind of the root of it. I don't know who it originated from. Nobody signed it, but it was circulating the internet. So I thought, well, that's spurring on some thought in me. So it occurred to me that everything is about to look, no matter what happens in November 5th, no matter what happens with your mail-in ballots, no matter what happens with your absentee ballots, no matter what happens with your in-person, which I'm such a huge believer in in-person voting. I don't understand how American Idol and all these, they can have a singer sing, the two or three final singers sing and have, I don't know, gazillion million voters via text. And they know by the end of the commercial break who's the winner. I don't understand how they can do that, but we can't, despite having done it for hundreds, almost hundreds of years successfully on one day. Why can't we do it? It's not election day anymore. It's election 4 months. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I don't like it. I believe in in-person voting. Check your ballot. Make sure that it's exactly as you want it to be. You say, well, I can't get to the polls. I bet you somebody will carry you there. I bet you will. And if the only friend you have is a liberal friend, pretend you're liberal for, 10 minutes. Get them to give you a ride. Hey, you got what it takes to win. You got to be in it to win it. But it did occur to me, everything's about to change. There's going to be lawsuits. There are going to be lawsuits no matter who wins. Put that out of your mind. Put the notion out of your mind that somehow or another, it's going to be a more peaceful union if the other side wins. My friends, look around. We're at the verge, not hyperbole here. We are at the verge of World War III. We're at the verge of nuclear weapons being deployed. We have a country, Russia, invading another country, a sovereign land, Ukraine. Yes, both of them extremely corrupt. But if you don't think we had something to do with that, you're wrong. You got to study it. Study up on what RFK says about, watch some of the podcasts where he explains to, Tucker Carlson's a great one. Joe Rogan's another really good one. But on Tucker's, he really breaks down what happens. By the way, no notes. That guy will be in Trump's administration in a very important position if we can get Mr. Trump elected. And that'll be a great thing. Guys, RFK is a brilliant, his story is amazing. It's not at all what you think. Dude was a heroin addict for 14 years. Yeah. He's an amazing man. Mind like you cannot believe. He can do a 3 or 4 hour interview, same as Trump, 3 or 4 hour interview, no notes, and be spot on. It's amazing. It's amazing. So look, if you have this notion that somehow or another it's going to be peaceful, it's not. It's not going to be peaceful because we're on the verge of war. Very much so. Right now, it's proxy wars. And I would submit to you that the military industrial complex is real happy about Ukraine and Russia because, you know, all that stuff they gave away, the $85 million worth of, or is it billion? Oh, goodness, I might have said the wrong number. $85 billion worth of stuff, military, brand new stuff, beautiful stuff, million rifles, millions of rounds, night vision goggles. All of these things gave them away. Tanks, helicopters, aircraft, all these things. Biden gave them to our sworn enemy. When he fled Afghanistan, he just left the stuff there. That ought to be an impeachable offense. But you know why he did it? So that the military industrial complex would have to build all those things and replace them. And guess who's paying for them? You are. And I am. Now, those people out there that wouldn't know. Anyway, I'm not going to say that. That's crude. The fact of the matter is they don't pay taxes and they don't care. But we do, and we do care. So the military industrial complex, they're very happy about Russia invading Ukraine. Why? Sure, they act like they're not. Oh, we're on the verge of World War III. Yes, we are. That's true. That's not hyperbole. But the fact of the matter of it is, they're happy about it because they're enriching themselves because they are the military industrial complex. And if you don't think that doesn't drive policy, you're wrong. Respectfully, you're wrong. Look, there's going to be lawsuits no matter who wins. No matter who wins, there's going to be lawsuits. There are going to be lawsuits after lawsuits. They're already on the ground. Look at RFK. RFK sued to get on the ballot. And then when he stepped off and said, hey, I don't want to be on the ballot any longer, they sued to keep him on. Doesn't that tell you something? Why are they trying so hard to get Trump? Why are they trying so hard to malign RFK? Why? Why? What is they're afraid of that they're going to say once they get in the power, get in the place to say it and expose? What is it they're afraid of being? What femurs are jumping out of these people's closets? But you know what? The lawyers are on the ground already. They are already suing here and there. Thousands of lawyers. No matter who wins. There are going to be riots. There are going to be riots if one side wins. There's going to be riots if the other side wins. Now, if Mr. Trump wins, it's going to be nutty. Yes, it's going to be a dangerous time in America. If Mr. Trump wins, the left is going to go nuts. Look at what's happening on the universities. Come on. Rabid anti-Semitism. Somehow or another, they're allowed to say, hey, we want Israelis dead on American college campuses. They're allowed to wear Hamas regalia and fly the ISIS and Hamas flags. They're allowed to say death to Israel. Take over. Threaten, chase Jewish students. No matter what, there are going to be riots. Be prepared. That's all I'm telling you to do is be prepared. Look, there's going to be, Minnesota as an example, billions of dollars of damage in one state. Billions. That's 11 zeros. The governor of Minnesota, now VP candidate, he invited this into his state, the state of Minnesota. Billions of dollars of damage and countless lives lost. And if you think that was something, hold my ginger beer. Hold my root beer. That's reality. I'm not trying to scare you. It's truth. It's truth. But if they win, there are going to be riots. No matter what. But here's the difference. If we win, Trump's coming. And we're coming. And Inauguration Day is going to be a different deal. Because you know what? Mr. Trump has learned a lot. His first go at it in 2016, folks, he was being advised by people who he was told, hey, these are the smartest people in politics. These are, great Republicans. And then he learned, as we learned, they aren't. That's reality. Look, no matter how I vote, no matter what I say, something evil has invaded our nation. We can't argue it. That is an inarguable fact. We're watching it happen in our lives. Will never be the same. Make no mistake, if you vote one way, our demise as a nation, as a people, is absolutely assured. I've been confused. I have. I've been confused by the hostility of some of my family and friends and neighbors. I look at people I've known all my life, that I've gotten along with well all my life. We've gotten on well. Now these people are so hate-filled that they agree with the vapid bumper sticker, weak-minded opinions they would never previously express as their own, and now they freely do. If you don't think that's press propaganda, I've got a bridge and I don't know where for you. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. But make no mistake, it's all real. You cannot justify this insanity. We've become a nation that has lost its collective mind. The Democrat candidate for president very clearly stated her long-held beliefs and policy goals and governance initiatives. She wanted to get rid of fracking. She wanted to be able not only to get rid of guns, but come in your home and inspect if you had a registered firearm there and inspect without notice and without knocking. We're just coming in. It's on video. It's her voice. Her lips are moving. I speech read. It's her. It's not AI. She very proudly said these things. She very proudly said on many different platforms, I will be proud to ban fracking. Say goodbye to 1.8 million jobs immediately. Immediately. In Pennsylvania and in other places where we've got more oil than the Saudis do. She was very clear. She was very clear about her long-held beliefs and policy goals and government initiatives, things that she stood for many, many years, decades, until now. Now, the primary, you want to win your base, but then you pivot to the middle. Guess what Mr. Trump never did? He never pivoted anywhere, because to know him is to love him. Take me as I am. This is who I am. This is who I am, folks. This is what he says. Love me or hate me, this is who I am. I don't need to pivot to some middle, because guess what? This is who I am, and I'm unwavering. He's not trying to appeal to the middle. Look, apparently the middle voter, as I talked about before, Trump's real audience, apparently they all have amnesia. Apparently the whole press has amnesia. Apparently all of the people who interviewed gleefully, the late night talk shows and the everywhere else, that gladly over the past 2 decades put Kamala Harris on television and said, she was proud of it. And they were proud of it, and the audiences were proud of it, and they clapped, and yay, take people's guns away, great. Her beliefs in politics suddenly are diametrically opposed to her now stated policies. That's a lie. They are all lies. Don't fall for that. Every Democrat does it. I am appalled how stupid some people are. Oh, you shouldn't use the S word. Some people are stupid. Nobody in the press seems at all interested. There's no intellectual curiosity. None of them are asking her about these flip-flops or votes. None of them are asking about her total pivot. None of them. Why? Because they're with her. They're on her team. How about some other things? Why not? I'm on a roll. If a man pretends he's a woman, you're required to pretend with him and call him he, she, her, she. Who do you identify as? Her, she. If a middle schooler wants you to call her a he, him, you're required to join them in their delusion. Somehow, it's un-American for the United States Census to count how many actual Americans are in America while not wanting people who broke into our country to vote. Somehow, that's racist. Somehow, Russians influencing our elections are bad, but illegals who broke into our country, somehow having them vote in our elections, that's good? In 2020, 51 intelligence officials and Congressman Adam Schiff and Chris Swalwell and many others, they knew they were lying when they said the Hunter laptop. Did you know this? Maybe some of you don't know this. They were lying at that time. They knew the Hunter laptop was not Russian disinformation. They knew the Steele dossier paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and sold to the DNC as fact. They knew it all. They knew it all was false. Total lie. It's been officially proven, every bit of it, to be a lie, but they aren't being held accountable for their lies. It was cool for Joe Biden to blackmail the president of Ukraine, but somehow it's an impeachable offense if Donald Trump inquires about it. Somehow it's against, he should be impeached and thrown out of office for saying, hey, I don't think we're allowed to do that. Hey, you know what? If you don't kick this guy out of office, this attorney general over there in Ukraine, if you don't kick him out of office for investigating the guy who's investigating my son, you're not going to get any money. That $3 billion you thought you were going to, no. Somehow that's cool. And Biden used to brag about it. But if President Donald Trump he says, hey, I don't think this is legal. Somehow to expect the Democrat candidate to actually articulate why she has flipped to the center, despite being actually wildly left, the most liberal person we've ever had, and far to the left of Bernie Sanders. Why aren't we forcing her to articulate that in an actual press conference or an interview or a debate? Answering actual questions or answer any real questions. Somehow this is wrong. We're bullying. Look, this one gets me. People who have never owned slaves, somehow they think people who have never owned slaves should pay slavery reparations to people who have never been slaves. Well, except, caveat, we know that Kamala's direct lineage actually sold slaves in addition to owning them. Does Kamala pay? Since she's black now, she's black. Does she receive reparations, or does she have to pay? Does she write herself a check? since she says she's black now. When we have on video, Donald Trump didn't, he shouldn't have brought it up because it's a no-win at the National Association of Black Journalists. They invited him and they didn't even welcome him. They just went in hard on him. And that was not the place to bring up the fact that now all of a sudden she's black. I agree with him. He's right, and I'm going to prove it to you. According to Donald J. Harris, Kamala Harris's father, now you're told that she was raised only by her mother, only her mother's influence. And we're told, well, they're lowly, just struggling to get along. Not. He acknowledged, Donald Harris, Kamala Harris's father, he acknowledged that his ancestors were slave owners in Jamaica. In a 2018 essay entitled Reflections of a Jamaican Father, Donald Harris described his lineage, stating that he is descended from Hamilton Brown, a plantation and slave owner in Jamaica. Hamilton Brown, after whom the town of Hamilton in Jamaica, that's and Brownstown, both of those are named after him. He was a prominent figure in the British colonial era. He owned and enslaved many Africans on his plantation. Now, let's look at the maternal lineage just for fun. Her mother is Dr. Her dad is also Doctor. Her mother is Dr. Shyamala Gopalan Harris. She is Indian, 100% Indian. Just as her father is 100% Jamaican, her mother is from India. Dr. Gopalan was born in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. She came to the United States in the late 1950s to pursue a doctoral degree at the University of California, Berkeley. Huh? Being cheap? It ain't cheap to go there. Nah, ain't cheap. How in the world? Oh, I know how. Oh, by the way, she was a breast cancer researcher and civil rights activist. What caste or community was she from? Well, you see, in India, it's a caste society, right? You're either a low caste or you're from an upper caste, right? But one of the top ones, Shyamala, she was from a Tamil Brahmin family. That's a high caste. It's a high caste community in India, known for its academic and professional achievements. Now, Donald J. Harris, he's Jamaican. He was born in Jamaica and is of Afro-Jamaican descent. He is an economist and professor emeritus at Stanford University. Do you have any idea how much these people make? Any idea? And they've been making those Benjamins that's folding money for a long time. His family roots in Jamaica can be traced back to African slaves brought to the Caribbean by British colonizers, along with some potential European ancestry, as was common in the colonial history of the region. Okay, I looked that up on their own sources. Took me 5 minutes. She has slave owners in her direct lineage. Donald Trump does not. But she wants reparations. Okie dokie. This one gets me right in the shorts. People who have never been to college, or how about this? People who did go to college, got loans, paid for it, worked every summer, worked while they went to college, busted their hump. I have great friends who did that. I did that. They worked full-time, went to college full-time. I did that. Maybe you did too. We went to college for real degrees to get real jobs. And when we went, if we took loans, we paid loans. But all of a sudden you're being told, And I don't know if you know this. Maybe you don't know this because the press didn't tell you, and this is on them. And if you tell Fox News, you say, well, Fox News, how come they didn't tell? Fox News is what it is. It's an entity. Don't depend on them. Do your own research. They're not necessarily on our team. You know what they like? They like news that sells. They know, because I know lots and lots of the big wigs and the big talent over at Fox, and most of them are incredible people. But they're told a lot of what they can say. This will shock you. The debt forgiveness, the college loan forgiveness. It's not forgiveness, by the way. Colleges have to be paid. What are colleges? Almost 100% liberal. So they got government money. They inflated the tuition because of the financial aid, because they knew they could get more. They've been paid. But now the loan, we're going to pay off the loans. And guess who's going to pay them off? Here's a tip. If you're listening on audio only, take your hand and point all the fingers. Not if you're driving. Don't do it if you're driving or flying the space shuttle. Turn your fingers inward. You're the one. You're going to pay them. But guess what? Not everybody with loans gets their loans paid in their bills. Guess who gets them paid? People who are in study programs or were in study programs that are typically inhabited by extremely liberal, very Democrat-oriented, predominantly Democrat degree programs. You say, wait, I didn't hear that. Are you sure about that? Yeah, I am sure. How? Because I read it. I read their bill. I read their forgiveness package. I read the whole thing. They are available. And I read the whole stupid thing. And it's very specific who gets the doodah, who gets the moolah, who gets the shekels. Very specific. It's them. Keeping the money going around and you just keep on paying. You got to ask questions, folks. Despite it being shot down by the Supreme Court every single time, they keep doing it. So they don't care about this rule of law they're always talking about. Good lands, how many minutes are we? 47. Ghastly. So when we went to college, we paid our loans. Why? Why should we pay the debts of college students who took out huge loans for degrees in community organizing or, LGBT music of the 70s and how it impacted communities? I don't know. You hear some of the weirdest degrees and you think, and you're shocked that you don't have a job, really. And it might be all those face piercings and tattoos and the fact that you smell like patchouli and poo. That could be it. And you look half asleep and depressed. And maybe eat a sandwich with some beef in it. How about this one? Immigrants with tuberculosis and polio and God knows what else. Smallpox. They're welcome here. Come jump over the fence, walk through the holes, whatever you'd like to do. How about you jump on a plane and fly, and we'll pay for it, fly you into the middle of the country and drop you off in the middle of the night and not even tell the mayors of the towns that we brought you here. And you're not even vetted. But okay, sure. But let me tell you something. You better be able to prove your dog is vaccinated or else. How about Irish cancer physicians? Can't get in. They can't get in. The front door. How about Brazilian master welders and tradesmen? I'm going to have my dear friend Wes on. $20-some thousand it cost him. He came in through the front door, did everything legally. $20-some thousand and years in order to become a U.S. citizen. But these people come across. Let me tell you something. Nobody was giving him anything. He didn't get anything. He worked for me, and you never saw a harder worker, a smarter worker in your life. And yet, people come across $47,000, a cell phone, loaded with all kinds of Democrat apps. Here's how to vote. Here's how to get all the aid. Swiss engineers, they want to come. They want to emigrate to the United States. They have to go through that same process. Somebody who can contribute to the country. But illegals sneaking in, breaking in, daring you to catch them? Nope. Any illiterate gangbanger, murderer, rapist, they can jump the southern fence or walk across the northern border because, quite frankly, that's way easier. They're welcome. They're welcome. Come on in. Get your free mobile phone. Your free phone. Use it every month for free. There's apps on them. How to sign up for all those public assistance programs. How to vote Democrat. But I'm paying $275 a month for my mobile phone and internet? Are you kidding me? Somehow or another, $5 billion for border security is too expensive, but $1.5 trillion for free health care for people who broke in the United States, somehow that's not? If you cheat to get your kid into college, you could go to prison and have, but if you cheat to get into the country, you go to college for free. And medical insurance and a free mobile phone. Free room and board, free food, free everything. The same people who are saying there's no such thing as gender are now demanding a female president. Those same people say there's no such thing as gender wanted Ketanji Brown put on the Supreme Court because Biden-Harris said, we're going to hire a black woman. That's what we're going to hire. I don't know about her. It doesn't matter to me. We're hiring her. That's who we're looking for. And the woman couldn't define what a woman is. It's a disqualifying factor, if you ask me. If you are one, but you can't define one, I don't think you should be allowed to be a Supreme Court justice. I'm just saying. We see other countries going socialist or communist, and they're collapsing right in front of us. We have hundreds of years of history of them failing. But it still seems to them, Democrats, hey, this is a great plan. Well, you know what? I'm going to be a socialist. I'm going to be a communist in the United States. We're going to try this. Yeah, we're going to do it. It failed everywhere else, every other time, but we'll try it. We'll do it. Why not? What do we have to lose? Some people are held responsible for things that happened before they were even born and perpetrated by other people. And yet other people are not held responsible for what they are doing right now. Known violent criminals are caught and released. The Democrat candidate for president, Kamala Harris, she was part of raising money for them, raise millions of dollars to pay their bail so that they can get out and hurt or kill more people. But stopping them is somehow bad because it's a violation of their rights. Those same people are complaining about the genius move by Shin Bet and Mossad in Israel in turning cell phones and pagers into bombs. So the cell phones and pagers of the terrorists blow up on their hip, next to their head, in their pockets. Kill many of them, maim most of them, but more importantly, identify all of them. And they're against it. Those same people voted against a bill that would deport people who are illegal alien criminals. Criminals. Violent criminals. They voted no. Somehow pointing all this out makes us racist. Nothing makes sense anymore. No values, no morals, no civility. People are dying of a Chinese virus, but it's racist to refer to it as Chinese, even though it has finally been acknowledged to have originated in the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, despite the left telling you for years that we're racist for pointing out the truth. Oh, by the way, despite Fauci proclaiming they didn't originate the weaponized virus and that he did not support the gain of function research, when it turns out not only did he support gain of function, he saw to it they received funding from the United States of America. But you've heard this term, gain of function research. I thought I'd explain it to you. When a virus, already dangerous, potentially deadly, is manipulated to be even more harmful or weaponized, it's often referred to as gain of function research or biological weaponization, depending on the context. Gain of function research, the definition of this is a type of research that involves altering a virus or other pathogens to enhance certain properties such as increased transmissibility, virulence, or resistance to treatments. The term gain of function refers to pathogen gaining new abilities or functions that it didn't have in its original form. Scientists may conduct this research to better understand how viruses evolve and to develop better vaccines or treatments, but it carries significant risks if the viruses escape containment. You decide whether you think that's ethical. You decide whether you think that's appropriate. You decide if you think that your tax dollars, by the hundreds of millions, should go to fund the Wuhan Institute of Virology, our sworn enemy. I mean, I don't know how you decide things, but the way I decide things tells me, probably not. Probably not the smartest thing. Look, we're living in an upside down world. Right is wrong. Wrong is right. They call evil good and good evil. Moral is now immoral and immoral is moral. We're killing vicious, unrepentant, rapist murderers is wrong. But executing innocent babies full term, they're at full term. Look, somehow that's right. You've heard a lot about this. You've been told it's untrue. At the debate, they said, oh, that's not happening anywhere in America. Lie. ABC fact-checked Donald Trump and said that's not true. Well, that's a lie. Let me give you the actual facts and context from the original bills. The Born Alive Infants Protection Act, BAPA, of 2002 is a U.S. federal law that affirms that any infant born alive, regardless of the circumstances of birth, is considered a legal person and must be afforded the same legal rights and protections as any other human being. Here are the key provisions included in the act. This is from the act, which I pulled up and read verbatim myself, and I'm going to read them to you now, so that you can never say that you didn't know, and that when ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, all of them say it's a lie, you'll know different. Here are the key points of the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. The definition of born alive is this law defines a born alive infant as any baby that has been fully expelled or extracted from the mother at any stage of development and shows signs of life. These signs include breathing, a heartbeat, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles, regardless of whether the baby was born prematurely, survived an abortion, or was delivered by natural means. Now, the term legal personhood must be defined. The Act clarifies that any infant meeting the definition of born alive is legally considered a person entitled to the same rights and protections under U.S. law as any other human being, regardless of the circumstances of their birth. This law applies whether the infant is born during natural delivery, a cesarean section, an induced labor abortion, or a failed abortion attempt. Any infant who is born alive must be treated as a living human being under U.S. law. The BIPA was passed in response to concerns about the treatment of infants born alive during failed abortion procedures. It does not directly regulate or restrict abortion, but ensures that infants born alive after such procedures are given appropriate medical care and legal protections. This includes palliative care, which seeks to mitigate pain and agony the innocent living and breathing human being is experiencing. It's important to note that the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, a related but separate proposal introduced to Congress multiple times in 2015, goes further than BIPA by requiring healthcare professionals to provide specific medical care to infants born alive after an attempted abortion and includes penalties for noncompliance. However, the latter has not been passed into law. Why? Because the Democrats voted against it, including Kamala Harris. The first one was passed in 2005. Carolyn is asking in chat. First one, I think 2005 or 2002. And then this one was brought up many times in 2015 and did not pass. The left was completely against it. I don't understand. And it happens, by the way, for a number of reasons. So what the left is saying is take that living, breathing, precious human being who has to endure horrible things, is born alive, and they want to leave the baby on some table while they decide what to do with the baby. The Democrats were against this. Harris was against this. Biden was against this. They said, no, we don't want to provide any palliative care to innocent babies. We want them to be able to kill them. I'll spare you how they kill them. You wouldn't want to do it to your cat or your dog. You'd never do it. But to babies, it's okay. This is reality. They told you it wasn't true, but it is true. Why would you ever want to kill an innocent child at full term? Whether they survived an abortion or they thought that the child wasn't going to live, so the parents thought they were delivering a stillborn, I've changed my mind. You told me it was going to be dead, and I'm leaning into that. So, I don't want the baby. What kind of person does that? And how are those people against adoption? Why are those same people against adoption? What kind of person does that? Kamala Harris and the Democrats. That's their key issue in this election is abortion, reproductive rights. Look, you've heard an awful lot about what is and what isn't the case in the United States as it relates to the states who voted based on a majority vote of the citizens within their state regarding what their laws and what their rules on abortion would be. When it left the federal purview and went into the states, which is how it was supposed to constitutionally be in the first place, this is what happened. Here are the facts. As of now, no U.S. state has a complete and total ban on abortion. Well, that's not what we heard at the debate. That's not what we heard. We were fact-checked and told, no, that's not true. That's not true. It's terrible. You can't even get an abortion now. It's the most awful thing ever. No, not true. No U.S. state has a complete and total ban on abortion, including cases where the life of the mother is at risk or in situations involving rape or incest. However, some states have enacted extremely restrictive abortion laws. Now, when we use the word extremely, we're not applying any qualification of restrictive. We're just saying they're restrictive by comparison, especially in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in June of 2022 and turn it back to the states, as it was originally intended to allow each state to set their own abortion laws. Here's a breakdown of where things stand. Now, my wife always says, but where is it written? I have these people that say these things. They say, oh, that's not true. Or, oh, this is different. And, but you got to give me proof. Well, here's proof. Here's proof. States with a near total ban or extremely restrictive laws. Several states have implemented near total bans on abortion, but most include exceptions for cases where the life or health of the mother is at serious risk. Some states include exceptions for rape and incest, although these are often limited by specific conditions. Example given: reporting requirements, time limits. Now, what I need to explain to you here is a woman could go into an abortionist and say, I was raped, but I was raped. I'm not saying this doesn't happen. I'm just saying what could happen is I was raped. I don't know who my rapist was. I don't know, when it happened or where it happened and whatever, but I was raped and then I got pregnant. Or I was raped by my uncle or whoever, incest, some case of incest. Well, who did it? Well, I'm not going to say. Well, you don't want to. They raped you and they committed incest on you, and you don't want to say they got you pregnant. You don't want to say. What if they do it again? Well, I just don't want to say. No, okay, we won't ask again. You see where this could go wrong? Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, I'm going to wait all the way up until the 9th month. And then I'm going to say I was raped or I'm victim of incest. Look, I'm a person who will tell you all day long that this is an extremely difficult decision. Absolutely it is. Trump has been very clear all along. He takes the Reagan approach, which 85% of Americans who identify as Republicans also agree. And a vast majority of people on the other side agree. I don't know where you stand on it. I don't know, but I can tell you this. I can't imagine how it grieves God. Good lands, I can't imagine. You say, well, there must be some really restrictive states. Yes. Alabama. I looked this up. You go to their states, you find their laws, you look it up. It's easy. Abortion in Alabama is banned in nearly all cases except where the mother's life is at serious risk or if the fetus has a lethal anomaly. Now, in Alabama, there's no exceptions for rape or incest. Why? The reason there are no exceptions for rape or incest is because what they found were pregnant women would not identify if they knew who the rapist was. They wouldn't give specifics, none of those things. And even in the case of incest, alleged incest, they wouldn't identify the person. Just believe me, I just was. Arkansas. Abortion is banned except to save the life of the mother. There are no exceptions for rape or incest. Why? Remember what I told you about Alabama. Louisiana, similar to Arkansas, abortion is banned with exceptions only to save the life of the mother or in cases of a medically futile pregnancy, but not for rape or incest. Why? For all the reasons I just told you. Missouri. Nearly all abortions are banned, with the exceptions only for medical emergencies or the life of the mother. There are no exceptions for rape or incest. See above. See a few minutes ago where I explained it. The mother's health. Some states have restrictive abortion laws which allow exceptions in cases of rape or incest. But the legal window for legal abortion under these circumstances, it's understandably narrow. And threats to the mother's life or health. Listen, you've got to demonstrate that. A medical doctor has to demonstrate that. You can't just say willy-nilly, well, it's going to kill me to have this baby. I'm not trying to be flippant about that. I understand it's very terrible circumstances. But the reality of it is they're using this language against you. In Utah allows abortions in cases of rape, incest, fetal anomalies, or threats to the mother's life. South Carolina, abortion is banned after 6 weeks, but exceptions are allowed for rape, incest, or the life of the mother, or fatal fetal anomalies up to 20 weeks. Bet you didn't believe that. There's states with broader protections on the other side of the spectrum, states like California. Now, they call this protection. States. Now, I took this from each state, and then they grouped them all together, all these different ones together in a relatively liberal publication. So when they say the other side of the spectrum, California, New York, Colorado, and others, they continue to, they use the word uphold, broad access to abortion with few restrictions, even after the fall of Roe v. Wade. In these states, abortion is legal up to a certain point in pregnancy, usually fetal viability. And why do you think they always want to argue about when does a baby become a baby? When does the fetus become a human being? This is why. Exceptions apply beyond that for cases of health risks or severe fetal abnormalities and anomalies. That's reality. That's the reality. You can say, well, I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. You can't be. I've just given you the facts. I've given you the facts from each state, what their laws actually are, because you're constantly being told that, no, these people want to throw you in jail. These terrible Republicans, they want to snatch you out of that abortionist chair and tell you, oh, no. Raped? Incest? No, you're having this baby. Understand now why some of those states would say that. Because they experienced people coming in and saying, well, I was raped. I'm the victim of incest. Well, do you know who your rapist is? Well, no. A lot of times they would say yes. Well, we have to write that down. No, I'm not telling you. Oh, so you're a victim of incest. Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you who that is. I just need you to handle this. That's why. Wake up, America. We thought we were the great unsinkable ship, right? America will live on forever. Our founders knew different. We might as well call ourselves Titanic America. And we've hit an iceberg and we're taking on water and we are sinking fast. Look, the choice is yours to make. Nobody's going to know what you do in that ballot, in that voting booth. It's yours to make. You have to decide, what will it be? I'm sad to say that there are many, many people who will listen to this and they will still say, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. My wife told me one time, when a commentator said, well, I trust the American voters. I trust them. They're smart enough to see. She said, no, they're not. She was right. She was correct on that. So I'm going to do another podcast. That will be released at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's entitled The Dangers of Marxism and Communism, a Call to Reject Its Influence. And my friends, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. It has to do with your faith, your freedom, your morality, your politics, your liberty. I'm going to explain it all in detail. And I'm going to explain it all as it relates to the current candidates for president in these United States. At the end, you will not be able to justifiably remain on the fence between freedom, liberty, and Marxism and communism. You won't be able to do it. My friends, I appreciate you joining me. Good lands, this has been long. I didn't even have any idea that it was going to be this long. But I thank you for hanging on there. Please share this. Please click on like and subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Click on the little bell. Share with all your friends. If you dare. I understand. Third rail, I get it. I get it. But I'm telling you, your vote, it's going to be huge. And if we don't win, I don't know that I'll even be allowed to do this. I don't know that I will have the freedom to do it. If we lose, I don't know that we'll still be free to say these things. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, Eastern Standard Time at 9 a.m., The Dangers of Marxism and Communism, a Call to Reject Its Influence. I thank you so much for joining the True Word Faith for Life podcast with Dr. Shawn. I am honored that you would join. Thank you to all of you who are in chat. Thank you to the audio only podcast listeners who will listen on playback. I'm honored to have you. Thanks again. God bless you, and shalom, shalom.